Can you build muscle after you turn 40? Yes or no? I'm going to tell you. All right, guys and girls, here we are, back, Coach Chris. And a very common misconception in the fitness space is, oh, I'm 40 years old, it's time to just be dad life, right? And to me, like, nothing pisses me off more than when a guy just throws his hands up and says, you know what, fuck it, I'm fat, I'm lazy, I don't have any energy, I can't get out and play with my kids. That's just me. I'm over 40. What do you expect? I'm 40 years old, and this is the biggest and strongest I've ever been in my entire life. I walk around daily with abs and veins through my arms and legs because it's literally a choice. So it is possible. Does it take more work than when I was, say, in my 20s and I could get away with pretty much eating whatever I wanted and having abs? Yeah, that's true. I have to be way more meticulous with my diet. I have to stay on top of my exercise, but those are both things that I love and enjoy. So that's not a punishment or detriment to my quality of life. So what I want you guys to think about is I need you to start taking control of your brain. And what I mean by that is stop feeling sorry for yourself, get off the couch, create a plan, hire a coach if you don't know how to create a plan, and get to work. You do those things and I promise you will start to see results. And it doesn't matter if you're 40, 50, 60, or even 70. I've had clients progress all in those age ranges if they doubled down, followed the plan, and then really worked it. Now, what we want to think about here, if gaining muscle is your ultimate goal, most people are going to say it's going to be harder after 40. That's not what I've found. I've actually found the opposite. I'm gaining muscle at a faster rate now than I did in my 20s and 30s. And that's because I have fully tapped in and locked into my body and my brain. I know the exercises that work for me. I know the sequencing that works best for me. And it's going to keep me injury free. So when you're looking at different types of training, you may not be able to do your classic train by JP progressive overload where it's squats and deadlifts and barbell rows and you're banging because your lower back's going to be hurt. So I highly recommend if you're over 40, you have some what I would call like miles on your tires, meaning training experience or sports, to invest in my Scorpion program. I'll get Chaz to tag it here so you can see the cover art. Really proud of it. And by the time this comes out, 9 times out of 10, Sub-Zero will also be released. So you have 2 different programs to choose from. Now, all day long, I'm going to start with Scorpion. That's 8 weeks and leads right into 8 weeks of Sub-Zero. So with this, the exercise selection is ideal for warming your body up, activating it, then getting into your strength movements, and then finally finishing with a stretching movement. So this is set up for specifically anyone who, again, has a ton of training experience and is above the age of 30. Another point that most people miss when they begin to age in the training space is their reps are far too low. They hear all these really smart scientists say 4 to 6, 4 to 8 rep range, that's where you get the most growth. And they try to replicate that, and then guess what happens? They get injured. Why? The weight's simply too heavy and too taxing on a joint that's already been compromised. So that is a young man's game, in my opinion, below 8 reps. To me, 10 to 30 is a much better rep range. That way we can still lift heavy, because listen, Chaz has me on camera taking 6 plates on a hack squat for 20. I don't think that's light. He's had me on camera doing the 140s on incline bench press for north of 10. Again, not light. That's heavier and more than I was doing in my 20s, but the reps are north. So again, reps north, anywhere 10 to 30 is going to be ideal in my opinion. Next up is not a sexy topic, and that's more rest days. And this is something I really have to convince a lot of my guys and girls to do. And sadly, they think more training equals more growth. And logically on paper, that makes a ton of sense. But what you need to realize is your recovery isn't what it was when you're in your 20s and 30s. You may have more life responsibilities, you may have more stress, kids, family, work. And what you'll find is the more rest days you take, the better you will grow. And this is something I realized when I was 37, sadly. I used to be addicted to training 6 to 7 to as many as 10 times in a week. And I thought, man, the more I'm in the gym, the more I'm smashing food, the more I'm growing. And because I loved it, I used it as an addiction as opposed to really trying to find ways to grow the best. So it wasn't until, again, I hit 37, I was like, you know what? I'm going to try this whole like pullback method. So I'm going to drop down to 4 days per week training, and I'm going to literally just empty the gas tank. And guess what? It worked. And now I'm anywhere between 4 and 5 times a week. if you look at that average of that. So another cool way to do this would be if you want to go 2 days on, 1 day off. So that puts you at 4 or 5 sessions per week, depending upon the week. So essentially, even weeks you're at 5, odd weeks you're at 4, and it works out perfectly. So the more rest you have, the better recovery you have, the more you grow. So remember that, guys and girls. More training, more volume doesn't always equal more growth. Next up, you really have to pay close attention to diet, your supplements, and recovery. And I know that may be a tough pill for some of you guys to swallow. And I said it when I started this. As the older I get, I'm finding ways to be better at bodybuilding, ways to stay on my meal plan. And if you look at, say, this protein waffle video, I'll get a chance to tag. It's egg whites, it's bowl of gains, which is cream of rice, and almond butter and a whole egg with a banana. It doesn't get much more simpler than that. It tastes delicious. I love it. Next up, chicken rice olive oil. That's my staple. I'll eat that as many as 3 times a day in the off season because it's convenient, it's easy, and I love it. So again, finding ways to stay on plan, dominate your meals, so that way, again, your rest and recovery are on par so that you're able to, when you go in the gym, you're able to train and grow. So we always have to think about our 3 key macronutrients. Protein, I love high. Carbs, I love high around the training session, and then fat around the outskirts of our training window. So if you look at that, I'm not going to give you any hard macro numbers because it's going to be heavily dependent person to person. But for me, as a general rule of thumb, 50 grams of protein per meal 6 times a day. So that's 300 grams of protein at minimum. Carbs, that again, person to person. I would say if your growth is your goal, no less than 300, as many as 1,000. And then dietary fats on a training day, I like somewhere around 50 or 60. Again, that's a good starting point. And I mean, you're going to need to manipulate that based on how your body responds. Is it growing? Great. If it's not growing, we need to increase it. If you're getting fatter, we need to pull back on the carbs and the fat. So, or simply add more cardio in. So those are my little quick nugget of nutrition. You really have to make sure that that's something that is locked in and dialed in once you get past 40, because if you eat sloppy for 2, 3, 4 weeks or leading in a month or 2, you will look in the mirror and you'll be absolutely disgusted with yourself. Like, you can't get away with that. The binge eating, the binge drinking that you used to do in your 20s doesn't work in your 40s. You get fat, you get lazy, and you get weak. Next up, wear a belt, wear knee sleeves, wear elbow sleeves, put on Arctic Bomb. You see me do all this stuff in my videos, right? And I wish I didn't have to. I wish I could go in there and just raw dog everything. But I realized that in order to stay injury free, I must protect myself. So anything that's going to be bent over or compromising to my low back, I'll wear a belt. Anything that's going to put a lot of strain and heavy load on my elbows, I'll wear elbow sleeves. Anytime I'm going to squat and leg press heavy, I'm putting knee sleeves on. As simple as that, guys. It's going to keep the joints warm. It's going to keep me safe and protected. So invest in some good strength equipment. I like the stuff from Iron Rebel. Everyone asks me where I got my weight belt from. That's my dad's from when he was 20. So you figure that's what, 50 some years old. It's the only weight belt I've ever had. He gave it to me when I was 13. And I've worn it ever since. So sadly, I don't know where you can even find or get that, but it's a single prong leather belt. It's fully broken in. I love it. I pray that I never have to get another one. And then it'll be really cool one day if I get to give it to Daxon as my dad gave to me. So weight belt, elbow sleeves, knee sleeves, and Arctic Bomb. And then last thing here, just be mindful of your warm-ups, guys. I remember going into the gym and squatting on a leg day. Like, this is my warm-up. Are you ready? You go in, you ride a bike for 3 minutes, 1 plate, 2 plate, 3 plate, 4 plate, and then depending on how 4 plates felt, well, we're getting to 5 or 4.5. I wouldn't dream of doing that today. It's why when you see my leg days set up the way they are, it's pants, tights, knee sleeves, hood, and I do like 8 sets of leg curls before I do my work. And then I go do like 8 sets of adduction before my work. And then I might do some leg extensions before I get into my leg press. And then once I get to leg press, I'm gonna go 2, 4, 6 plates per side, warming up for sets of 10 before I get into 8 or 10 plates a side. Then I go over to hack squat. I do 2 field sets before I'm doing 6 plates or 7. I'm always mindful of my warm-ups and my feeder sets because I don't want to rush that the way I did early in my life because I could get away with it then. Now I can't. Like if I went in there, and let's say I was going to do leg curls, and I did a set of 100 and then right to 150, I would be so petrified that I'm going to tear my hamstring off the bone. And then also I wouldn't be adequately warmed up and be dialed in and connected to that muscle. So as we age, we have to be very leery of doing our warm-ups, doing our mobility, doing our stretching. So if you look back at all of these tenets of this video, I really encourage you to take them to heart, put them into practice, and I promise you will see some of the best growth of your life between 40 and 50 years old. So if you like this video, guys, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, Chris Evans TV.